Hello and good evening, everyone. Today's webinar topic is Unclaimed Deposits, the Forgotten Wealth to be Claimed. So, for this, we have with us Arvind Rao. Arvind Rao is a chartered accountant and a certified financial planner. He has been actively engaged in helping people and families improve their money habits since the last 20 years. His expertise lies in the field of income tax advisory, business advisory, and personal finance planning advisory. Holistic problem solving for clients is what Arvind enjoys the most. He has co-authored the Expatriate Taxation book for ICAI and also been a weekly columnist for DNA Money, Money Sense, and guest writer for Sundry Business Standard. He is on Bloomberg Quint's panel for their financial planning and tax segment, and also he has contributed articles for various other media like The Week, Outlook Money, Money Today, Live Mint, to count a few. Now, a short glimpse about NISM. NISM is a public trust established in 2006 by Securities and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, the regulator of the securities markets in India. The institute carries out a wide range of capacity building activities at various levels, aims at enhancing the quality standards in securities markets. Now, before beginning the session, I will request all the participants to note some important points. First, that is question will be taken at the end during the Q&A segment. Second, all participants will receive a participation certificate within 3 to 4 working days. And third, the recording of this session will be available on NISM YouTube channel. Now I request Arvind sir to begin with the session.
Thank you so much, Sahil, for the introduction, and a very good evening to all the participants here. This is a very interesting topic. Actually, more than interesting, I think this topic is very significant because of some of the statistics that we are going to see in the upcoming slides. So, if you check here, it will not be wrong to call this a crisis. Why are we calling it a crisis? If you look at the numbers that are coming up on your screen, so there are around 67,000 crores of unclaimed deposits only with banks. Okay. This figure is as latest as June 2025. And we further have a breakup in that public sector banks have around 58,000 crores. Private sector has around 8,600 crores. Now, this we are talking only about bank deposits. Okay. In addition to this, with SEBI registered entities, there is another 24 odd thousand crores which are lying unclaimed in investors' funds. So, for all the people participating here, what needs to be given a thought here is this is not anybody else's money, but our own money, as in maybe some of my money is also lying there. Maybe some of you attending here must have forgotten about some FD or has ignored certain FD or has not realized some dividend or some mutual fund dividend, whatever it could be. All this has cumulated and has reached a massive number. Okay. So how does it what can I mean this the whole purpose of this webinar is to one sensitize all of you to this grave issue of how people are ignoring this crisis and what can be done to avoid this. Okay. So first, before we go into how this problem has snowballed to this extent, let's understand what are unclaimed deposits. So we are ideally talking about those investments or accounts or deposits which have remained dormant or inactive for a specified period. So depending upon whether it's a bank, whether it's insurance, whether it is a mutual fund, whether it is a broking account, each has their own period specified. And once an investor has remained inactive in that account, then once that period has lapsed, whatever is the money lying there is later termed as unclaimed deposits and is forwarded to the respective funds. Okay. So typically, if you were to profile across your financial portfolio, unclaimed assets could be lying in any of these, starting from bank deposits. Friends, deposits here would mean savings account, FDs, even current accounts. Okay. And I'm typically reminded here that for people who are working in corporate sector and typically switch jobs, you will notice that invariably every new company that a person joins, they are required to open a new account because of a corporate salary account, right? So this is the most commonly found place, because especially when employees move jobs, a or more particularly when employees migrate and move across geographies, then the first corporate salary account, or maybe even the second, is that money when you progress in your career by another 15-20 years. At that point in time, one tends to forget that there was a old salary account remaining or an old deposit maintained in that account, and that becomes a part of unclaimed assets. Likewise, insurance policies, mutual fund investments, insurance may you can have either you have forgotten about a policy because of which you have not claimed its maturity, a, or b, if you have moved cities or if you have moved countries and this policy is mature. And I'm sure some of, I mean, if our participants has people who have been working for the last 25-30 years, will relate with me on this aspect, that forget 25-30 years. I think even 15 years prior from now, it was not mandatory that you have to quote your email ID or a mobile number into any application form that you fill. Now, imagine a company or a financial institution sees that a particular account, a particular fund, a particular policy has matured. Now, it's their obligation to reach out to the investor or the policy holder and enable them to claim claim their money back. But if there is no mobile or there is no email ID updated, or the address that they have in that application, they try to send I mean, all they can do is they can send a post or a courier to that address. But if the account holder or the individual has moved the address and has not, if I can use the word, bothered to update their address with the financial institution, then there is no way that they can pay out this money, isn't it? So then, whether it is mutual fund dividends, whether it is money, mutual funds that have been redeemed, okay, so you may be wondering, how can redemptions of mutual funds also lie in unclaimed assets, right? Let me give you a very simple example. Typically, what happens is mutual fund redemptions are nowadays credited to the account that is registered with the fund. Now, if you have an account registered with the fund which is an old one, and you have forgotten to update your account with the fund, and you click on redemption, the money doesn't come to your account because the fund is in turn trying to deposit that money into your old account. And at that point in time, maybe you're busy in your job, you're busy with some due dates, you're busy with your regular work, and you keep it in your mind that I have to update my account. Now, as time passes, you lose track of this. Okay. So the money has been redeemed from the fund, but it has not yet reached your account. And as time passes, you keep forgetting about this. So that's how you have mutual fund redemption money also that is lying with funds which have unclaimed. Share certificates, I think the more we talk about, I mean, there is so much to talk about share certificates, because um, shares are one of those big category of assets where you had physical shares. From there you move to demat, and not all the physical shares have been dematted, so you still have a lot of investors, especially the older investors, or if I can say senior citizens, who are still holding physical share certificates. And the moment you have physical share certificates, their bank account details are not updated with the registrar or the company, because of which they are not able to pay out the dividends to the right accounts. They might end up sending checks to the investors, and these checks might be landing at an address which is an old address or an not an updated one. Again, a reason for these dividends or shares lying unclaimed. Post office deposits, NSC, KVP, PPF. There are so many instances where, especially in post office, I'm not sure whether today post offices are all linked. You if you have opened a NSE or a KVP with an XYZ branch, it is important that that investment of yours is serviced only by that branch. Unlike some of the banks where you can probably visit the branch at another location and still get access to it. But I think in many post offices that facility is still not available. And typically, as one starts their careers, NSE KVPs remain the favorites to make small investments like 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. And because these are so small, and as you progress in your career, it is very, very easy and convenient for an investor to forget about these. Okay. Forget deposits, all this, even provident fund. Now, we see so many cases of provident funds, especially where people have not yet opted to the UAN and have not linked their Aadhaar to the UAN. So, somebody who was working in a corporate maybe 10 years back and probably has moved to a foreign country, or maybe even working in some other company in India, and has not taken the pains and efforts to transfer their provident fund from the old company to the current one where they're working, this stays unclaimed and unpaid. Now, I think this is the bigger bucket where unclaimed deposits lie, because EPF is almost mandatory when you're working in a company, and because the number of people who are employed are more than the number of people who are in the unorganized or in the professional setup, the chunk of money that lies in the EPF and which goes unclaimed is huge. Okay, so just a repetition. I'm giving slightly more granular details. Like when you talk about deposits, that 78,000 crore of deposits which lying unclaimed is spread over some 10.25 crore accounts, which means the average amount is around 700 to 800 rupees. And what is worrying here is that the growth, what RBI has observed in this, the growth of unclaimed deposits is almost at a 9.1% every year. Now, friends, that is really very alarming, and most of us have some role to play in this. If not directly, maybe somebody from our family, maybe somebody from our near and dear ones who have ignored. So I think one of the takeaways from today's webinar should be, and of course we have also outlined certain action points specifically tailored for all of us to go back and after this session do some key exercises to figure out how you can avoid not being in this zone. Look at mutual funds. There are around 4,400, stock exchanges is around 1,800, brokers have around 985 crores. These are slightly dated numbers. We don't have updated figures released for them yet. But look at insurance. LIC itself has an unclaimed amount of 15,000 odd crores. It's huge. Imagine if this money reaches the rightful people. Obviously a lot of money problems could be solved. And or the other way to look at it is, maybe these are the people who have not claimed it because maybe they don't need it and they've forgotten about it. But whatever it is, I think it's our duty, because it's very, very difficult to earn money. And once you have earned your money in a hard way, it is equally important to maintain and take control over it and keep a tab on where your money is and not let it lie unclaimed and accumulate in this extent. So, just listing down some of the reasons, and maybe some of you can relate to even one of this. And I would be very happy if at the end of this session, if some of you, I mean, I see a good number of participants here today, if some of you are able to follow the exercise given and are even able to claim, say, one unclaimed deposit of yours, it is a victory for I think NISM as well as me too, because the whole idea behind this webinar is to appraise you of this. Okay, so some of this we already mentioned: change of address, uh, just forgetting investments made. And the third is a very, very relevant factor, and a lot of efforts are being done at SEBI level to make this information available to the people after somebody dies. Because more often than not, we see that uh, people do not readily share their information with their family about where their money is invested. And COVID time, a lot of formats were making rounds. I think some of you must remember that there were formats going around that you should make a list of where your money is, whether it is a bank account, insurance, XYZ. Now imagine people who are not doing any of it, and the person dies, the family has no clue of where and whom to approach to claim this. So this is, of course, the investor is no more. So I think the guilt of the investor would be less, but all other reasons are attributable to an investor himself or herself, and it is our prerogative to ensure that we do not fall in this category. For example, lost documentation. It is so easy, like, of course, nowadays you have internet banking, you have mobile banking, you have apps, you can do banking at on your fingertips using your mobile. But for those who are still not that tech savvy, if they have misplaced their passbook or a certificate, sometimes trying to figure out that, claiming that the whole process to get that account back or traces of that account back becomes so cumbersome that people say that it is easier to let go of it, right? Name mismatches. With Aadhaar gaining so much importance, there have been umpteen number of cases where there is a mismatch between name in the PAN and name in the Aadhaar, which is typically like the middle name becoming the surname, or the first name is not spelt right. There is an additional A or there is an additional H which is there in the Aadhaar but it's not there in the PAN. So friends, a sincere request that if you find any mismatch, please don't ignore it. Things are very easy nowadays to correct these mismatches. So it is important that we spend some time and attention on these matters as well today at this right time, so that it doesn't snowball into a bigger issue as time passes. Inactive accounts, like people, I mean, I sometimes find it very um, odd when people keep opening different bank accounts. But actually, I would also want to go a step further, that maybe it's not always the investors to be blamed. What happens is, the moment you see any ads of any new bank coming or any attractive scheme by a bank, invariably we tend to open new accounts, right? So as we keep opening new accounts and as time passes, and we obviously it is humanly impossible for a individual to maintain multiple bank accounts. um, and plus there are certain requirements, like for example, if you need to open a PPF account with a bank and you walk into a bank to open your account, there are bright chances that the bank tells you that we will allow you to open a PPF only if you open a savings account with us. Okay. I'm not sure if that opening of a saving account is mandatory for opening of a PPF, but if the bank insists on that, you end up opening another account. So these, friends, I'm just listing down, are various reasons in our day-to-day life that things happen, accounts are opened, and once you have multiple accounts and they go beyond your ease of control. So I think an individual is fairly able to control two or maximum three accounts at a given point in time. Anything more than that, you end up not touching it. And I really don't understand why individuals are averse to closing of accounts. Like, they keep dilly-dallying, they keep procrastinating, they keep postponing walking up to a bank and closing that account. Um, because of which these number of accounts only keeps piling up. Okay, so procrastination is a bigger enemy, is one of the most dangerous enemy, which is, or rather, it is one of the big reasons why we have this number for unclaimed deposits, right? Certain other reasons like bank branch closure, merger, like Typically, you have banks merging, you have an account in the older bank which has got merged into the new bank. But if you don't want to follow it up, it'll obviously go unnoticed, and in some years of time it becomes unclaimed. So we've tried to put down what are the typical timelines, okay? And so this will help you to figure out if any of your account, maybe to think that, for example, a bank deposit, till there are 10 years of inactivity. Remember, 10 years, it's like almost a decade. So if you have not acted, or if you have not transacted in any account for at least 10 years, after that, RBI transfers it to what is called as DEF, or Depositor Education and Awareness Fund. So if you can sit back today and think of any account which you have not touched for last 3 4 years, you still have time to resolve it at the bank level itself. Likewise, a mutual fund folio, if there is no investor triggered transactions, again for 10 years, and there is still a balance, that will be nominated as an unclaimed deposit, and within 3 years it is then transferred to the IEPF, Investor Education Fund. Likewise, for shares for 7 years, if they lie unclaimed, it will be transferred to the IEPF. Okay. Of course, before it is transferred to IPF, company is obligated to inform the shareholder at their last or the latest available address about this transfer at least 3 months. So, I mean, the company will do everything that is possible in their reach to go out to the investor and try to make sure that these things are claimed. But if the communication details are not correct, then nothing can be done, right? Likewise, for insurance, it is 10 years from maturity. And small saving schemes, which are again typically the post office related schemes, it is 7 years. Likewise, for EPF, or the Employee Provident Fund, um, it is 7 years of inactivity, after which it is transferred to a Senior Citizens Welfare Fund. So, friends, one more thing to just remember here is that the fact that these deposits are getting transferred to these designated funds doesn't mean that you lose access over it, right? You are still able to claim it. It's just that the ages changes from the bank, insurance company, mutual fund company, etc., to a centralized fund. So then you have to do all your efforts with the fund to claim it back. Okay. So you don't lose your money even if they are transferred to these funds. That's what I'm trying to stress upon you. Just looking at some practical examples, like the most common thing I could think of was the forgotten FD, right? So Mr. Sharma that we met had made a deposit 2 lakhs 2010, moved cities, not informed bank, and then through the DEF, which I mentioned, RBI, through RBI it goes to the DEF. From that fund, at some point he came to know that there is this FD in his name. But the problem is that in the last 13 years, this FD has not earned any interest, right? It is only giving him the 2 lakh back. Now imagine, even if this money was growing in an FD at a meager rate of, say, because we are talking about 2010, at that point in time FD rates were around 8%. So even if this money was growing normally without gaining the unclaimed status, in 2023 this money could have easily doubled twice, or it would have grown 1.5 times. That means 2 lakh would have become around, say, close to 6 lakhs. But this loss of 4 lakh for Mr. Sharma is due to sheer ignorance and losing track of this FD, which was his own, right? Likewise, we had come across a Gupta family. The father passed away all of a sudden, and the family only came to know about two of his five accounts, and the whatever was the money lying in these other three accounts, almost total to 8 lakhs, they lay unclaimed for 8 years. And the only way later, and again, like I mentioned, maybe after this webinar could be the trigger point for you to dig out these. And believe me, friends, the regulators and the authorities have made it quite simple nowadays. And I'm going to share those details with you as well in the upcoming slides of how do you undertake a systematic search process and try to figure out if there is any money that is lying unclaimed, right? So one of the learning in this process was that every individual, if they maintain their investment records in the right fashion, you can avoid this situation for yourself or even for your family, either or. Now, let's dive into how do you check for this unclaimed money. So first, let's talk about the banks. This is the web link for the Udgam portal. And once you create your login in the portal, you can search across using your name, your bank details, or even your address. This is available across 30 banks. Okay, as of now, 30 banks are participating here. So if I mean, of course, the website has the list of those 30 banks. So if you had, or if you think you had an account in any of these banks, you can always register yourself and figure out. Now, when it comes to mutual fund, shares, bonds, all under the SEBI aegis, there is a scores portal from which you can try and do the systematic search process. Now, the good news here is as latest as February 2025, SEBI has initiated and talked about the launch of a Mitra platform, which helps, I'm sorry, which is a dedicated mutual fund platform to help investors track their unclaimed or the inactive mutual fund folios. Okay. So while scores can still be used for shares, bonds, etc., this Mitra platform is dedicated for mutual funds. Again, that makes life easy. EPFO, there is this EPFO portal where you can go and check for your provident fund balances. Friends, I agree. All these things are not easy. You may have to spend some time and effort to get through this, A. Or we'll again look at what are the other things you can do so that, if you think you have some money lying unclaimed there, how can you claim this? Right? For LIC, for insurance, LIC India is the portal. For a private, each you can go back to the each in company sites to figure this out. For post office, it's going to be a physical act of visiting the branch, inquiring with them, and trying to claim it back. Friends, there's one more tip I would want to give here is that nowadays, especially when it comes to post offices, I'm not sure how many of you must have seen it earlier that there is this annual information statement that is available on the income tax portal for your login. Okay. So this statement is a detailed statement which is tracking all the interest and all the accounts and the interest earned on that accounts across banks, bonds, NCDs, post offices too. So, this statement is detailed to the extent that it is also giving you your account number in each of these institutions. Okay. So, why I brought this up is specifically for post office schemes. If you don't remember, but if you find certain deposit number in your income tax AIS, that could become the trigger to go and figure out if there is some post office deposit that you might have forgotten. Because out of my experience, what I find is that many a times when we find these entries of post office in the AIS and we tell people to reconfirm whether this is their deposit, typically they end up saying that no, I don't think or I don't remember I having any post office. But when we have pushed them to check, with the post office, they have gone back and figured out that yes, this was some NSC or some KVP that they had done many years back, which is still with the post office. Okay. So this is another trigger for you to check. Now, typically, the step-by-step claim process is you go to these portals with your details, you verify records, you have you need to keep handy some required documents, which is typically your ID, address, relationship proof. Relationship proof, especially if you're trying to claim or you're trying to locate for some of your family member who is no longer with you, there is an you will find an application form to claim this, or a claim form. You fill it, submit it. Don't leave it at there. Follow up, and also don't forget to update the account in which you want this money to come, so that that amount is received in the current account, correct account. Sorry. Like I said, typically the required documents will range from Aadhaar, PAN, and I think these are the pivotal documents that if you have them handy, it helps a lot. Your bank account details. Again, a small tip here that whenever you are closing down any account, out of experience, it is better to keep either the check leaf of the old bank which you are closing down, or even the passbook, which the first page of the passbook which has all those details like the IFSC, MICR, the branch address, bank details, all this. Please preserve them. Even if you preserve it in a scan format is also useful, because you will, I mean, generally, whenever you are trying to update your bank from an old one to a new one, you will find that an institution requires proof of the old account that you're trying to change, as well as the new account that you're trying to update. Okay. So if you have this check, the cancelled check leaf or some details retained of the old account, it will always help to expedite this process of updation. Without that, it can still get done, but it will take just longer, and it make it more cumbersome. Okay. And for those who are trying to claim for people who are no longer there, then the legal heir certificate becomes very relevant. Depending upon which state you are listening to from, there are it varies from state to state of the process of how you can apply for a legal heir certificate or a succession certificate, and that is very useful for all these processes. Now, let's come to that. I mean, I would want to take the liberty to assume that all the people in this room today have not fallen trap to some deposits getting unclaimed. So, how do you ensure that you keep your records up to date and you do not fall into this trap? Okay. So, during your lifetime, there are a couple of things you can do, which is one, maintain updated records. um, I'm not trying to say that it is compulsory to maintain records in your laptop, in your desktop, nothing like that. You can even have a diary where you note down. Okay. Now, generally, when we talk about, when we are having discussions with clients regarding their wills, the one common thing that we generally say is that a will should be like a inventory document for the people who are going to read it after you. Um, I find a lot of people trying to take the easy route when they're making the will by saying that all my bank accounts should go to XYZ. All my investments, which are spread across demat accounts, mutual funds, deposits, will go to ABC. So my counter question to them is, when you say all my accounts or all my investments, how is one supposed to know what are these all, right? So as a person who is writing the will, it is important and pertinent for me to list down what that all is. Okay. And will is the perfect document to make this inventory. So if you think you are too young, which is never the case. But if you think you're too young to make a will, no problem. You can still make or keep a spreadsheet or a diary or a record of all these investments, typically going down to details like the account number, the branch, the name of the institution, and other details to identify this. People who feel that this investments are dynamic, today I hold certain deposits and policies, but after 5 years these will change, no problem. Even if you leave behind the first trail for your family, it is easier for them to pick that thread and then find out what happened to this money, isn't it? Rather than not giving them any information will help them to keep track and claim all the money that you wanted to leave behind for your family. So while you maintain updated records, it is also important that you keep an eye on these accounts at least once a year. And when it comes to savings account, keep doing transactions. Or if you go back today and find that you have not done any transaction in a specific saving account for at least last 3 years, I think this Saturday the first thing you should do is go and close that account. Okay, because you don't need it. Thankfully, for lockers, I think now banks have mandated that I think every once in 6 months they want the account holder to come and access the locker, because if they don't do that, then they I think make it inactive, which makes it a little more cumbersome. So if one can do that for lockers, they can also do it for their bank accounts, FDs, etc. Digital integration, again, for people who think they can and they're savvy and they can keep a track of it, they can always use net banking, mobile banking to keep a track of this, right? Enable SMS and email alerts, very very important, because at least that ways you keep getting alerts of what is happening in your account. Finally, if none of this you think, A, you have the knowledge to do this, or B, you don't have the time to do this, then always seek help. Don't feel shy. Help means it could be like a physical financial advisor for you, or it could mean taking help from certain tools, whether it is wealth management tools, whether there are platforms, and also indulge in regular portfolio reviews so that you know where your money is and whether you are taking care of it in the same way for the effort that you put in to earn that money, right? Which also brings us to succession planning. um, I would strongly recommend that if you have made an inventory, whether in your will or whether in your diary or on your laptop, always involve at least one person from your family, which could be your spouse, which could be your brother, sister, parents, maybe a grown up son, grown up daughter, whoever it is. Let them know that you have all this available and made ready, so that just making it doesn't help, right? If nobody knows where you have made this, it is going to be of no use. So it is important to have someone keep updated of it. And um, for people, I mean, will is of course the final method to make people know who you wanted to give what. But if will is if the making of a will is certain period ahead, what the least you can do is maybe at least ensure that you have nominations in all your bank accounts, insurance, mutual fund, shares, demat accounts. All of them at least have nominees, because that makes life easier. If possible, have one master file that you can keep in your cupboard, where again, this is a pro tip, that when you're making a list of uh, your investments or accounts in the file, also have one column where you denote the location of the original of this investment. So many people have an habit of keeping original FDs or original documents in the bank locker. So if that be the case, if you are making a note of an inventory of your accounts, denote it that this original will be found in my locker of so and so bank, or if not, where can they find this original, right? um, like I mentioned, digital legacy. So even if you have, like today, most of you have a lot of apps on your phones, right? But a question to you, that if something were to happen to you all of a sudden unknowingly, how may who do you think anybody from your family has access to your mobile? Will they be able to unlock it? Because only if they will be able to unlock it will they be able to go inside and figure out that which app has what, isn't it? So try and see. I mean, if you have apprehensions about sharing the passwords to your mobiles, no problem. Have all this information stored in a in a computer, or you can use diaries or cloud services as well. So, a quick recap. What are the legal framework? In case of bank accounts, RBI protects these unclaimed deposits through its DEF. SEBI is taking shelter under IEPF. IRDAI for insurance is overlooking these unclaimed amounts. And finally, EPFO manages the dormant provident fund accounts. Like I mentioned here, to summarize your rights, if you are an owner of this account, it never expires. There is no time limit to claim. Even if it has got transferred to these funds, no problem. You still have the right to claim it. And interest or the return of this money as is possible will be provided as per rules. There are specific grievance mechanisms that are available in case there are any disputes as well. Now, let's just have a quick glance on some of the recent initiatives I'm sorry, that have been taken by many of these institutions. That is, they have launched digital platforms. Like this Udgam portal by RBI is one of the best initiative. Very simple to use. And not only this, there are regular awareness campaigns being run. For example, today's webinar is also a part of this awareness campaign. Giving you this information on your fingertips is just to empower you to get going on this journey to claim back your unclaimed deposits. And also, when you try to walk on this path, you will find you will figure out that this claim process is also quite simple. What are the technology tools? So one is you can take the help of account aggregators. A lot of them exist nowadays. What do these account aggregators do? Basis your PAN, basis your Aadhaar, they will give you a consolidated view across all your accounts, especially your DMAT, your mutual funds, your deposits, bonds. Get maybe enroll in any account aggregator that you trust. Take a view and see that if something seems amiss, keep a eye view on that. Then you have a lot of investment tracking apps, whether it is for portfolio management. You can set up some automated alerts also in them. In terms of document management, you can have access to digital storage solutions. Use cloud-based storage. In fact, a lot of, few telecom providers are also, depending upon which plan you are in, they also are offering free cloud storage plans. So make use of these. No? So it's not even that it is going to cost you much. You can even get some of these free solutions to keep tab of where your deposits are. Finally, again, like I said, if you are not able to do this on your own, take help. You have financial planning tools, you have advisors available who will help you to keep track. And at least one of the advantages of using an advisor is utilizing the services of an advisor is that there will be regular reviews. The moment there are reviews, you keep looking at where your money is so that you don't lose track or sight of them. Some of the red flags for you, actually I follow this. Like I know that I have subscribed to some mobile alerts. So this has happened to me very recently that I used to get mobile alerts for an XYZ bank regularly. Now, suddenly, over the last 4 5 months, I came across this around 3 months back. It was 2 months, and I figured out that I'm not getting any alerts for the credits that are coming into the account. So when I started to think about this, I realized that in the same bank, my society, where I am also an office bearer, we opened an account for the society in the same bank where my number was registered. So, when I did 1 plus 1 here, I realized that because they updated my number to my society's account, possibly in the bank system, they have somewhere deactivated those alerts or removed the reference of my number to my account because it is now linked to the society's account. So now the corrective steps are underway. But the point is, you need to be alert whether like certain stocks they keep paying dividends. So suddenly if you find that this stock has not paid me any dividend for the last 1 year, how is it possible? Today there is so much access to information. You can go and check what is the dividend history of these stocks, and if you find online that they have paid dividends but you have not got it, again, see what is wrong, right? The moment you switch places, get your Aadhaar updated with address, get your KYC done, so that your current address is updated. All these are not difficult. What is important is that you are doing it on time, you're doing it regularly, and you're alert to these changes that are happening. For especially for the female investors, if they are married and there is a change in name, change in address, update it. Likewise, if somebody gets divorced and there is a change in name, change in address, update those with the records. Don't delay action. Okay, that is a fundamental reason for deposits getting accumulated. And as you have seen today, that these unclaimed deposits are not getting transferred into the funds within 2 3 years. Some of them are 7 years, some of them are 10 years. You have a long time to keep like for these deposits to get categorized as unclaimed. Okay, so the impact is, like I said, this money which you are recovering is your own money. Okay, I mean, there is no these four are just four bullet points regarding how you can what this money can available. But there are countless things, right? It can help you maybe repay your loan faster. It can add to your retirement corpus. If your child is still studying, it will give you more money for their education, medical expenses. I mean, there is countless. Okay, there are so many ways in which this money can help you, because I'm sure money is dear to each one of us. And any extra money that you get which you have forgotten, okay, I should not call it extra because it's our own money, it's just that we have forgotten about it. So okay, so once we get it back into a system, it can only improve our efficiency. So here's a suggested action plan for all of us. I've divided it into 30 days, quarterly, and then annually. So 30 days, all the portals that I have mentioned, you can go and check these if there are any unclaimed deposits. Or you can list down your own current investment, see whether there is your mobile, email are updated in that. If not, get it updated. Check whether you have nominated all your accounts, whether you have nominations in all your accounts, and create that inventory document. Very, very, very important. Once you have done this in the next 1 month, quarterly is check this. See if, sometimes it is said that when you give a second look or a third look to these, you might suddenly find that, oh, something is missing. So update that document. Or if you have made any additions, deletions, subtractions from your existing portfolio, update it once in the quarter. And finally, once you've done this annually, have a review, your own review. Update your will if there is any changes, major changes that have happened. And finally, I mean, as a part of it, you can also review your insurance coverage. Or, like I said, at the end of it, if you are not sure that what you're doing is correct, or you want some validation, you can always seek professional help. Or if somebody of you are already seeking certain professional help, and if you think that what you are doing doesn't cover all of this, then you can always ask your advisor to probably include these bits also in your annual checkup. So, summarizing the key takeaways of today before I will check into the Q&A if there are any questions. That the amount of money that is lying in the unclaimed is not a small amount. It's a huge 78,000 plus crores. So the best way is, I mean, if you have already lost or forgotten about some of these deposits, you can claim it. Or if you haven't, then prevention is better. Use technology to the best advantage, and regular monitoring is the solution for all of this. Okay, don't let your hard-earned money become a statistic. Like, let it not appear on any investor webinars as forgotten money. You should take action today, right? So remember that every day you delay, your money is you add one more day of that money being forgotten. So start your search today, right now. Since these are all online tools, there is no time limit to it. You can do it even at 6 o'clock, you can do it at 8 o'clock, whenever you can. But important is start taking actions, right? Uh, so I conclude my presentation here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for some questions in the Q&A, if there are any. There was no nominee updated, but formalities. So what to do? Fair question, Deepak ji. There was no nominee updated. In fact, friends, this is a this. So one of the participant has put up a question that there was no nominee updated in an LIC policy where the maturity value was 60,000, but now the formality that the company is asking that individual to do, the cost of it is coming to around 75,000. So the question is, why would one spend 75,000 to get 60,000, isn't it? So this is exactly, I mean, I have no answer to this right away, because the only thing I can outline here is that it is beyond doubt that putting a nominee doesn't take time, but if you forget to add, then whether it is an insurance policy, whether it is a bank account, believe me, the type of documentation that goes in then claiming the money is humongous. Okay. And documentation takes away money as well as a lot of time, isn't it? So that's why I'm again stressing. I mean, this cannot be stressed more than this, that even if you don't make your will, at least ensure that you have nominees across all. Otherwise, your dependents will face a real tough time. Okay. Moving to the next question, my earlier employer deducted, now it is closed. They have not given. How can we claim it from EPF? I have basic details. Yes. So Vimalji, what you can do here is there are two options. One is with these basic details, you can approach the nearest EPFO office, because I think in order to extract details from the portal, UAN becomes very important. And if you don't have that, you can always visit the EPFO office either yourself, or from what I understand is there are professionals who specialize only in this process, which trying to get claims from the EPFO. So with these details, I think you can try and get some of these details. By mentioning PAN, one can get to know the details of all the mutual funds by sending a request to the registrar. Is there an aggregator or institution that can provide complete details from banking perspective and from an insurance perspective? So from the, I think a lot of work is still underway in order to make this kind of information accessible. I think today, from a banking perspective, even from an insurance perspective, there is nothing that is available which will throw information at one click. Um, because all, like your question is bang on, because you have these NSDL and CDSL statements that provide information about stocks and funds, but I don't think something similar exists for a banking or even the insurance. Insurance has made a step in that direction by allowing dematerialization of policies, by which then you will be able to access one account or one place where you will get information for all. But I think banking is still work in progress. We don't have anything on that now. Earlier, there were physical shares. So are those available on the SEBI site? No, unfortunately, I don't think SEBI's website will give you details about physical shares. But um, again, there are agencies available. Of course, you can do it on your own as well. You can write to the R&T agent, the registrar and transfer agent for each of these companies, and they will help you with the process that is required. Yes, there are certain steps. Maybe they will ask you for certain affidavits, some original share certificates. All these you can provide and furnish it to them, and they will help you with the process that is required. There is one more thing, like which had happened in the case of one of our clients, that they did not have any share certificates, but uh, The trail of some of these physical certificates came when they received an annual report from by post from one of the companies. Now, when you receive these annual reports, you will see that the address label or the address label on the envelope, they have the details, some details like your the number of shares or the share certificate folio. So using that as the trigger, we could then go and write to the agent to figure out and provide us more details on this particular shares. But again, like I said, be alert. After the India Pak war, several websites ending with are inaccessible and hence make it very process difficult for NRIs. As a result, RBI website to search for unclaimed deposits is not. How can this be resolved? It's a very good question, Koshiji. I will try. I don't have an answer to this right now, but maybe we can at least try and check. I will try and check with the NISM as well if there is some way that is available and can be percolated or disseminated to you all. क्या वेबिनार अपने इन्वेस्टर के लिए भी करा सकते हैं? हेमंत जी, यू कैन मे बी अप्रोच NISM on this and check. Rahul, how to check it practically? I mean, I think Sahil here will help us that this presentation will be, I think, made available, or it's anyways, as he mentioned, it's available on the YouTube. So you can go and check these portals. These are the portals, okay? So practically, you'll have to visit this portal, register yourself, and get. Presentation will be, I think it will be shared, so no worries there. How to know if there is nominee in share certificates if the shareholder is deceased? Yeah, again, this is going to be the only way one can find this out is write to the registrar and figure it out, because when you go back to them saying that I want to claim this, they will come back to you after checking in their records as to what information is available and what is needed in order to be able to claim it. In an old bank account, name is different than the real current. What to do? A bank asks for KYC. Yeah, so like I mentioned here, Aadhaar is Aadhaar and PAN. So it is very, very, very important to align them. So if your PAN has a different format of a name and your Aadhaar is different, please go and figure it out either with the Aadhaar center or with the PAN center today itself as to how can you align them. If it means they require an affidavit from you or an entry in a gazette to be given to change it, please do it today, because if you think it is difficult for you, it is going to be all the more difficult for your family to be able to claim this after you, right? So these things are not easy, but you need to do it, and it is increasingly getting important that your names are aligned, because simple things like even getting your income tax refund, the portal now checks whether your name is the same way as it is in the PAN and in the bank, and only if it matches your refunds are issued. If it is not, it results in a mismatch. What is the process for claiming lost shares of deceased person? Again, the same thing, you'll have to write to the registrar, the R&T team of the particular company, and take it forward. And like I said, I keep repeating this because many a times people find it difficult to do this process themselves. There are professionals who specialize and do this process day in and day out. So it will, if you have, if you hold shares which are of like decent value, then you can always take help of these people to claim it back, because even if you are paying some professional some money, if it helps you in getting your money back, it will be worth the effort. So, and like I mentioned, even if the funds are getting transferred to IPF, there is no time limit. You can still claim them. There is no expiry date given for claiming shares. All you need to do is, instead of approaching the company, you have to now approach the fund with your details and follow the process that they give you. Yes. So there are no LIC, since this question is specific to LIC, I don't think there is a portal which gives you details of the unclaimed amounts. Best way is to approach write an application to LIC giving details of the policy number and wait for information to come from them, because only they will be able to provide you with the details of the unclaimed amount. And I'm extremely happy to read about Rajesh ji, who says that he is doing it this unclaimed amount settlement as a Bima Sevak. So very nice. Is there any way to make will of tangible investments like inherited, disputed property, gold? Of course, you can make a will, and I would go a step further to say that if there is any dispute or any issue with these properties, make it a point that you write it in the will also about that this property has so and so dispute, because just because these properties or these investments are disputed, you not putting it in the will doesn't solve that problem, right? Maybe after you have documented the will, maybe in the next 6 months those dispute get solved and the property is yours. The moment you have mentioned it in the will that there is a dispute which is under process or which is to be resolved, at least your family knows that they have to approach this matter, right? Whether will should be prepared on a government stamp paper, no, Dinesh ji, it is a myth. Will need not, in fact it should not be on a stamp paper. It could be on a plain piece of paper, handwritten or even typed out, doesn't matter. You may choose to register your will or you may choose not to register your will. Okay. Kavya Silam, one minute. I am a postgraduate and I'm new to this concept. In this regard, my question is that can I get more detailed information in a PDF format? You can check with NISM regarding this. If they have some more material, maybe they should be able to help you. Sir, how to contact you personally? Is there any NISM certification required to become a professional in getting lost shares claimed? I will let NISM spokesperson to answer this to you. I am not sure. Uh, NISM does a lot of certifications, and there are so many trainings that they offer, and education certifications also that they offer. So if Sahil or somebody in the NISM team is listening, maybe you can just help Saurabh Mehta, who is attending this webinar, to check and let them know if there is any specific certification that you can help them. My name is in the format like first surname and next name in Aadhaar but in PAN. Yes. So Kavya, you need to take a call and align one of these two, right? So you can, if you think your Aadhaar name is correct in the correct order, then you have to go to the PAN and correct it. Or if you think your PAN is correct, then you need to go and correct it in the Aadhaar. Please don't let this problem stay as it is. Can unclaimed deposit be claimed in the future? Absolutely. There is no expiry to it. Last question to be taken up. Since there is a limited time window to get physical shares dematted, I think till 3rd Jan. So if one locates shares in IPF after this cutout date, can it be dematted after this 3rd Jan? My answer, I think in my opinion, yes. Because after that 3rd Jan, if you are able to get it from the IPF, you can still demat it. There is no expiry. See, please remember or please understand that this cutoffs to transfer to the IPF is because the companies or the institutions can't keep it on in their books forever, and so that then there is a centralized place, it is getting transferred to these funds so that the investors or their family members can easily approach, and the whole job of this fund is only to take care of these unclaimed deposits. Okay, so I hope I have been able to clarify your questions, and I mean, lot of valid and interesting questions that have come up. So with this, I come to an end here, and I think if Sahil is around, I would end this webinar here. Thank you so much for everybody who has attended.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks for taking time and speaking at the webinar. Your insights, expertise, and presentation as well truly made a lasting impact on our audience, sir. Thank you again, sir, for your time and knowledge.
Most welcome.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Wishing you a wonderful day, ahead, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
And thank you to participants as well for joining us today. Your presence and engagement truly made the session meaningful and impactful. Thank you all for being part of it. Thank you.